Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Undaunted, specifically Normandy. Even though Brad has the reinforcements box, it's just to, I guess, hold everything, which is nice. So we've played this game multiple times with both with different types of objectives. Mainly, the main one was controlling objective points. And then another one was like a goal. I think you had to,
I just had to get to
the end.
Yeah.
This game is significantly better when you are playing scenarios with objective points. That is the heart of this game, because the other one, with the deck building element, I don't think that you can efficiently, one side has an advantage over the other. At least in the ones with the objective points, I feel still one side has an advantage over the other, but it's not so obvious, at least in my mind. I still do not care for this game. My opinion actually really hasn't changed so much from whenever we last played this, and I thought it might, because I liked it whenever we did the first game with the objectives. And then I really didn't like it whenever you just had to run. And I'm like, okay, I can't stop you. And then this one, it's all right, yeah, lucky me, I had the gunners to keep suppressing you, and you had to try and get to areas that I already could control. There's just, for me, too much luck in a skirmish game like this. Especially in a competitive one, dice are what they are. It's even then, when attacking, just riflemen, even if they're in your exact same spot, it's still almost a 50-50 shot.
Right.
There's nothing. It's how is that? I mean, I guess it's obviously supposed to thematically represent ducking behind cover and running, and they're not just standing there shooting each other. But the dice are too random, and then your deck is too random for it to be enjoyable for me. So that's kind of my immediate 2 cents. What are your thoughts?
I think so. I mean, I agree. The scenarios play so much into, depending on the scenario, will decide on who's going to enjoy the game and who's not.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
yeah, no, you're right.
Because this one, yeah, the numbers are out in the middle, but you already had places on 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Where all you had to do was just play a control card and take them, and then I had to somehow force my way through all that stuff, and I wasn't getting enough cards to be able to move. Or if I was going to be, that's the, I know there's bolster and you're getting your cards to do all that stuff, but then, because that's why I was trying just to load up, because I was wanting to just make a push and just become mincemeat and just get totally butchered going there.
Yeah.
But then I couldn't. But then it's okay, are you going to play those cards to move? Mm-hmm. Or are you going to play those cards to try to fend as you're approaching me? Because then I could,
Yeah.
It's but then there's certain scenarios that work better for the other side, so it's just...
Yeah, because all I had to do for this one was my mortar...
Stay where you were, really.
Yeah, I really didn't move. I already had the areas. I just had a scout. I didn't start with any scouts.
But all you had to do is have one bolster and then just wait for it to come up your deck,
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
And that's the first card I had. I'm okay, now I'm going to get some scouts, then I'll be able to get those. And I never moved my mortar because I'm okay, well, I get to attack each individual one. I mean, the first one, I think I only hit once.
Yeah.
With my mortar, out of 10 die rolls. I know I needed 10, so it's a 1 in 10 chance. I understand that, but it's I did say in the run through, if I lose or however the game happens, I'm happy I rolled 110. So I did kill one guy with one mortar, but because it was just more me turtling up and you had to be the push, I'm just okay, I'm gonna get machine gunners out. I'm going to suppress you, so you have to burn your advancement cards. And the way my cards were coming out, it was definitely in my favor. I'm just okay, I'm gonna suppress with a machine gunner, then I'm gonna attack with them.
How many cards did I kill of yours?
2.
Yeah. I stacked
with your pile.
And
Which
I
is
didn't
probably
even
what this
move.
is supposed to be. You are supposed to, fill up your deck and then run in, like what your theme was. But that doesn't work inherently because it's still luck of the draw. You could have all your riflemen's, like, in your deck, but if you're only drawing 1 and then I suppress them, okay, I guess that's that.
Well, and then, like, also how the board was set up initially, and I can't remember the initial setup, but, like, if I was going to move, I had to load my deck up. I had 3 different hands throughout this game that of the 4 cards, 3 of them were
Fog of Wars.
Yeah. And then I was using the other card to unsuppress.
Yeah.
Just like, so my turns were nothing, and
Yeah.
whereas you didn't have to do hardly much Fog of War because you already had the areas more or less there. So this one,
This falls into the same issue I
Yeah.
have with Memoir 44. It's, if this was historically accurate, then cool. I don't want to play that because I can read the little blurb and be like, oh, the Germans won this. Cool. Okay, we can just pretend. Let's say we spent an hour and, oh, hey, the Germans won. Like, I want it to be, I would almost prefer like a what-if scenario, like where it's even. It's like, hey, historically the Germans won this, but we're not, it's balanced on both sides. And then you could be like, oh man, well, what if this happened and then the Americans did this instead and then they took the bridge or whatever. And then that changed the course of whatever. It's like, that to me is more fascinating than it being historically accurate. Like, it's the same kind of with movies, like historically accurate movies. It's like, well, I can just read the wiki article and not spend the money to watch the movie. But, like, for this one, I figured out early on, I want to control initiative.
Right.
Because if I attack, like, your rifleman and hit, well, that burns from your hand first, so that means they're not getting to go. And I just need enough time to scout and then get riflemen in and control it. And, I mean, by what? Turn 2, I had 3 points out of the 7 you needed.
right.
It's like, that's not fair. Or fun. Like, I didn't... I don't... Like, if I win, I want to feel like I earned it. I feel like the scenario just gave it to me.
Well, and I did do a kind of a stupid maneuver early, and that was bringing my scout up here.
Oh.
Because I wasn't able to... Because I could have gotten those 2 points
Yeah.
if I didn't have any scouts around there. That could have moved because I couldn't move my rifleman into there.
Sure.
Because it wasn't scouted.
Right.
Which,
Yeah,
so...
that's true.
So, I mean, I went up here because I thought the mortars were going to cause more damage than they were. So I was
Theoretically,
gonna come up and
they
take them
should.
out. But...
I mean, it's like, you have 3 mortar fires on the same location, theoretically, that should hit, but... And because mortars have to go 3 or further, it's just like this scenario didn't call for that. I mean, it would have theoretically had you actually been able to move forward, but having gunners out that roll 4 dice to suppress is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when all this is open field, so you're running in and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna, attack them and then just make you waste your cards. But in this particular scenario, and in most scenarios, I would say initiative is huge. Like, if you can constantly control that, you going first to potentially damage or, like, take an area. Like, if you did scout that, but then I had initiative, I can move in. Okay, now you can't take it because I'm there. I don't really like anything about it. Like I said during the run-through, you can theoretically kind of get into the theme. Like, whenever you have a sniper, shoot. I mean, he gets to shoot 3, which is really good. And they can stalk, so they don't need to be scouted, but they can't control, so it just makes their shot a little bit easier. It's interesting, but I don't know. It's too slow to rely on your deck. Like, it'd be cool if your rifleman could move and attack. Like, that would make it a lot more fast-paced.
Which I think that's what the whole Inspire deal is for. You need to try to time it to where you can...
Mm-hmm. But your Inspires are very situational. If you have to have,
right,
those types of units in your hand with your Inspire to get to use them multiple times. And if you flood your deck with all different types, chances are your Inspire's not doing anything. So, this game just doesn't really do anything for me. Like, the attacking isn't fun. It's literally rolling d10s and hoping you roll high. It's a subpar deck builder with no unique twist. You just have cards in your deck.
I will say that the solo mode, from what I've watched, I haven't played the solo yet, obviously. But with it being the whole David Turksey stuff and everything, the solo mode is great from what I've seen so far, and so it makes it.
Are there solo scenarios specifically, or can you play these scenarios solo?
You play all those scenarios solo,
okay.
But he created an AI to control the stuff. So
Osprey Games did what was the other game? Imperium, which also has an amazing solo mode. So maybe they should just make solo games only.
but so that's what I want to try, because on a game like this, and just like what you said, like in a 1v1 game, this even more so than Memoir, like this one is more deterministic 1v1 in the scenarios, even more than Memoir.
You think so, huh? Well, you've probably played Memoir more than I have.
And it's because there is the randomness of the dice and the decks, right? Memoir has the
shared deck and the dice
deal, but it also has where the offense can get, or the defenders can get screwed over and not be able to retaliate because they don't have those cards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that's not a mechanic you like or whatever, but
no, yeah.
But I mean, like right then, like I knew if I moved into zone, you had cards in your deck. Your deck was that I was going to take damage. You can risk it in Memoir 44, where you move in and be like, okay, if they don't have a command card for that sector, then I can push my luck and try to do that. So like in a 1v1 game. Where this one, you just know what. You could pretty much predict what's going to happen, minus the die rolls. I know, but I think this game for me is going to be a solo game.
No, and that's fair. If everyone is clamoring for this game as a solo game, that's perfectly fine. And if people are ranking this high because they'll only play it solo, great. I never consider solo variants to be the main point. Like the only time I do is for games that are solo only, like Final Girl, Hostage Negotiator, and stuff like that. Because I'm not a solo gamer. But I can see that. I can definitely see this being a lot more fun because it's just you versus the AI, and it's not as personal, I guess, whenever it's another player, like screwing you over or rolling higher or whatever. It's the computer, and that feels better, I guess, in some way.
Video game.
Huh?
It's like playing a video game.
Exactly.
In a way.
So, and it is just kind of interesting how, because we played Imperium together, and which was a pretty solid one, but even then everyone's like, oh, it's better solo. It's like, all right, well, maybe they should only make solo games.
I think the reason they say that one is better solo is because it's just the length.
Sure.
Like, that game would be so long if you don't play it. If you play it with any more than two.
That is true.
Because the game doesn't really change. The game doesn't change.
You're right.
It's just the length of game.
That is true. But also, at least the two we played, I was gonna say factions, but that's not it. Civilizations. They didn't feel 100% different.
Right.
So it didn't really matter. I wasn't like, oh my god, you can do that. Like, it was still all about like what I was trying to do. In terms of skirmish games, this isn't. It's like what's worse, a really bad game or like a painfully average game, It's like, because I get nothing out of this. The only sense, like, I succeeded on almost every die roll. Like, And if you miss, like I would understand, like, because there's no mitigation for rolling. I understand missing every now and then. That would increase, like, but you already have the fog of war, like, aspects that can just really screw you over. If you really need to make a push and you happen to draw 4 fog of wars, you can't. I mean, yeah, you can technically, conceal to take them out of your. But it's like, okay, yeah, let me just waste one of my cards to get rid of 1 fog of war.
Right.
And if you happen to draw 3 fog of wars in your hand, it's like, great, while your opponent happens to draw 4 really good units. Like, I had one where I had a machine gunner, a rifleman, and 2 mortars. It's like, that's a awesome hand. But what's also really annoying is you draw 4 cards, and really you're only getting to play 3 of them.
And then if you have any fogs, that just lowers it
even
more.
And then if you don't have initiative, then since I knew you had a lot of fog of wars, I wasn't as, like, scared to play mine to try and be initiative because I'd break ties. Like, I would... The game would be a lot more action-packed and fun. Potentially, probably not. But if you drew 5, and you could use 4, you get through your deck a lot quicker. Chances of you drawing 5 Fog of Wars is very low.
Yeah. No, you'd made that comment earlier in the playthrough that about getting the gunners.
Mm-hmm.
And when one person goes all in on gunners, not all in, you had quite a few gunners out there, and you were using a suppression. And what it turns into is I'm suppressing you, you're suppressing me, we're just wasting cards to reset up, and we're suppressing each other and suppressing. It just turns the game into a longer
that is true
deal, you know. So it's like I'm just gonna go and just see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, like, technically, I don't know if you ever used your gunners.
I moved them.
Oh yeah, you moved them. I mean, maybe the only thing with, like, is maybe use your, because you knew I was suppressing your riflemen. Use your gunners to suppress my gunners, and then that frees up your riflemen to move. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just prolonging the inevitable at that point.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is whenever you're trying to control, that's kind of the negative to the objectives is. If someone it happens to be in there, no matter if I have all my units in one area and you have 1 scout, I can't control it. It's like, why? I have my entire army. I can't control this one house. Nope. No. Granted, theoretically, I just attack until I wipe your. But that's even kind of annoying, because initially I liked the multi cards, because I was like, that represented like a squad. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, okay, I hit your rifleman B. That's one of your guys down out of the 5 in your deck. But in a game like this, since everything is kind of so slow, I have to roll high, and then I have to waste my entire hand, theoretically me drawing well, just to kill 1 squad, to then wait for my deck to cycle, to then control to get 1 point. Right. You know, it's like, I just don't want to do it. The game wasn't long necessarily, but I think it easily could have been.
It could have if I would have been trying to push more.
Hell, even if you've
been fighting for stuff more.
Right, or if because you attacked quite a bit and just rolled low.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's that. I'm glad I wasted one of my 3 cards to miss.
Yeah.
And that was my... Because there was a one point where I moved my Rifleman B in there, and then I was like, oh shit, he's my only one. I'm like, so I have to wait if I want to try and control that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the Africa one does. I mean, I'm not holding out any hope that it's going to change. It has tanks and armored vehicles and stuff, and it's probably just more of the same.
Probably.
Well, there are people that like the Africa better than Normandy has been kind of the consensus. So.
I can see if the vehicles have like a carry, like
they
something.
Do.
Oh well, there you go.
People on them, yes.
Yeah, which obviously makes sense. Well, that would make it move a lot faster, and I wonder if the boards would have to be bigger then.
Not sure. Like I said, I haven't gotten.
If I had to guess, I don't know anything about the North Africa. If I had to guess, the vehicles can't move as far, but since they can carry,
right.
Like they can move maybe 1 area or 2 and then carry people. Having vehicles. I mean, this one, it's weird that Normandy doesn't. It's not like this is whatever war where they only had foot soldiers. It's like there were planes and there were, at least that was the benefit of Memoir. You had tanks and you had aerial support. Like
this reinforcements expansion adds
Oh, it does?
aircraft and stuff too.
Gotcha.
So It just adds some more stuff, you know. I mean, more different kinds of units and mine layers.
Yeah.
And you get to lay mines.
Oh, okay.
And stuff and everything too, and just I like what they're trying to do with it. I'm still kind of surprised. You know, we've played this a few times. I've played it with some of the other guys a few times, and I'm just kind of surprised that it gets the super hype that it has. You know, like I'm very excited to try the solo because I trust Turksy in his solo modes. It looks really cool when looking at the stuff in the box. And plus being able to play every scenario solo that's come out, plus the scenario book from the Reinforcements expansion. A lot of scenarios. There's a lot of solo play in this.
That definitely sounds like the goal.
Yeah, but I almost would just rather play Memoir. Like if I had to compare it, like if I had to play a 1v1 World War II game, Memoir.
I mean, how many
more
of them
exciting? That's the
I
thing.
guess so. Yeah,
it's more exciting. Like moving these chips around on the board is kind of, but you have a little tank. You know,
right?
You have more visual.
Yeah,
appeal.
There's like sandbags.
You have more visual appeal with Memoir, and
yeah,
so,
it's been a long time since I played Memoir, but that one was because you had grenades and stuff, but you had to roll the grenade symbol on the die. Yeah, there were symbol dice.
The command and color system is what I loved about that game. I mean, I know the shared deck was.
Which, I mean, I know a lot of people mention that Memoir gets fixed if you have to buy a second copy, but then everyone gets their own deck.
Right.
It's like, it's still luck of the draw, but at least it's not, you took that before I could.
Right.
It's like, oh, you got an air support. Okay, I know I have one in my deck.
Yeah.
And that's how I would almost prefer to play it. Or the Overlord? Is that what it's called? The
Overlord is playing D-Day.
Okay.
It's like the whole beach of Normandy.
Yeah. I mean, that would just be cool, like, to get immersed in that. But also for me, this theme doesn't do a whole lot. Like, theoretically, I like it. Like, I could kind of get into like the sniper, just the crack of the bullet hitting the ground, and I can hear all that. But this game just
Yeah.
Like the dice, the deck. And then the scenarios, this game's just kind of blah for me. So I got nothing else. Nothing else to say. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Conditionally, I'm going to give this a conditional because not taking the solo into account, obviously, because I haven't played that.
Yeah.
I don't think I could go above a 5.
Yeah, I
think a 5's about it for the 1v1 experience. And then I know the solo is going to be higher just because being a solo gamer, you know.
It'll probably work better. Yeah.
If you like World War II and you're a solo person, I want to say it even adds co-op in this, like where you can play teams, like 2v2.
I think I did see that kind of
stuff like that. So that'd be another way, but it's pretty much still playing the same damn game. You're just making decisions.
Yeah.
So if you're a solo gamer, I would say if you have the opportunity to try it, do so. And maybe on a future solo list, you'll know my opinion of if it's a good solo or not.
Yeah, or in your top 100 if you play it solo, jump on there.
No,
I completely agree. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong. I can't necessarily justify a 4. I mean, the last scenario we did, what was that one? Oh my god, that was just...
It was pretty much where I was running away, and I was withdrawing, and I had to get to an exit.
Yeah, I actually opened up right to it. Yeah. I had riflemen, and I had to bring out the freaking mortars and snipers, and I just had to, because you had to scout all the way ahead, but I had to pin you, so I had to kill all your riflemen. Well, that's fucking impossible when you can just, I'm gonna bolster and pull all my riflemen in, and it's like, okay, so I have to hit you 5 times with luck of the dice, and then just burn that. That scenario was fucking garbage.
And that's my point. Like, the scenarios are so swingy with this.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't... we haven't played... I guess the initial practice one was the most even.
That is true.
Because we were sitting there bouncing back and forth.
Yes.
But everything else we've played so far has been so boot on the head, or kind of stuff, and where you had to, which I know is probably what the war was actually like, but
no, I get that, but that one was because no one initially controlled the area. No, that's not true. Sorry, the German in the initial setup, Larray, was the Germans controlled 3 points. But that was it. They had to scout all the way out to the other ones, and then you had a few scouts, and then you could get to it. Yeah, that one just because we were going back and forth trying to get it.
And I think that's the spirit of the game. I think the whole battling for those areas.
Yeah, no, I agree. So the weird one of running, like that would have been like a 4. That was extremely frustrating. But this one, going back and taking the other one, the victory point conditions, I'm just going to give it a 5. This is such a whatever game for me, but maybe North Africa would be cool. Vehicles sound neat, but yeah, I think you're right. Memoir is more exciting. It's just as luck driven.
Yeah,
like with drawing cards. It's not. This is your own decks or how you built it, but you can't necessarily filter it to really be like, all right, I need my Rifleman A's out to come out, so I'm gonna burn some cards because that would mean you're theoretically killing your own soldiers.
Well, it's just hard for me. Like this is hard for me to picture being a soldier.
Right.
And I know it's cost because this is not an expensive game.
Yeah. Is Memoir 44 still super expensive?
It's about $50 for the base game.
Okay. Well, I know they had a bunch of expansions, and I remember those expansions being hard to get at one point, but I feel like I see it.
I think they got reprinted at one point.
I thought so too.
But yeah, so I mean, it's visually, Memoirs.
It looks
better
cooler
version too.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so that's our thoughts on Undaunted Normandy specifically. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.